Hello everyone, welcome to the tool series. In today's video, we will be discussing syllabus, study strategy and the courses. The part 1 of this series was already uploaded. I will share the link so that you can watch it. Okay, so as we have already discussed, there are 5 domains in the CISA syllabus. Let's discuss this domain one by one. I have taken this syllabus from the official review manual of the ISA. This is the latest ISA for the CISA examination. The first chapter is Information System Auditing Process. This chapter is further divided into two parts, planning and execution. This is all related to the auditing process. So before moving ahead, we can discuss what is the audit and why audit is required. So audit is independent review and examination of system records, activities or related document. But why independent review and examination is required? So we will understand this with the help of one example. Let's consider there is a company. We can name it as XYZ company. Suppose they don't have auditor. What they can do, they can manipulate their data. They can show the incorrect financial statement. They can show the healthy balance sheet which is manipulated. Also they can show they are in profit even if they are in loss. So at that time what can happen? The people invest their money in this company. Also the other investor from the other organization also invest their money in this company. So but at some point of time it will come out that the company has manipulated their data and the company share will drop. This can be the scandal. People will lose lots of money. Actually this was happened in America in 2002 where company like Enron has manipulated their data and they did a very big scandal, and after that only the SOX Act, the Sarbanes-Oxley Act was come into force in USA. So this is the practical example. So to stop this, if there is an auditor, this wrongdoing can be stopped at early stage. Auditor can report this to the board of director, to the reporting authority by their examination. So what auditor do? They go to the company, they do their examination, they check the internal controls are working properly or not. They check each and everything and prepare audit report and then send it to the regulatory authority. So any misrepresentation of data, manipulation of data can be stopped. Also case 2, we can see that suppose this company working in the banking and finance industry, then they have lots of personal information like your name, contact number, your PAN number, your Aadhaar number. Also they have your bank details like your account number, transaction history, account balance, everything they have. So they can sell this data to any third party. Okay, so what happened in that case? They have breached your privacy. There is a loss of privacy. So what actually they are doing, they are manipulating your data and representing it in the various form to other entity, and that's why the data security is utmost important. So here what we can do, CISA is all about information security. So CISA, the auditor deals with the information security. So you have heard the phrase that data is the new oil, and you know the what can happen with the help of data in today's world. Now we can see there are three basic fundamental principles to protect the data that are CIA. It is known as CIA. CIA. C means confidentiality. I for integrity. And A for availability. In the confidentiality, you can say that anyone can have access to the data as per the role and responsibility. There should be the encryption so that data cannot be read by anyone. For example, if you are storing the password, then and your password is ABCD, then it should be encrypted like this, should be come right like this. It should not be visible to anyone. So this is about the confidentiality. Next is integrity. Integrity means data should be accurate, means it should be as it is, it should be in the original form and it should not be manipulated. And the third one is availability. Availability means the data should be available as per the requirement. So when the company need any data, it should be available to the company as per the requirement. So CIA is the basic fundamental principle to protect the data. Also, one more thing, when I discuss the data privacy, I mentioned that data should be prevented by using the controls. So what are the controls? These are known as the internal controls. So internal controls are defined as set of policy procedure that govern company's IT system. They ensure that the company's operation are conducted effectively and efficiently. There are various standards like SOX, HIPAA, PCI DSS. So let's jump to the syllabus part. Here in unit 1, the part 1 is about the planning and the part 2 is about the execution. So actually the audit cycle start with the planning, then there is an execution, then there is an audit reporting to the senior manager, board of directors. So let's see what they have mentioned here. So the first thing is the IT audit standard, guideline and function. So standard is mandatory requirement that needs to be followed. So as I told you, there are various standard SOX like PCI DSS, then ISO 27001. So these are the standard company needs to follow for their information security, for their data protection. Okay, the next topic is type of audit, assessment and review. There are various types of audit like financial audit, like IS audit, operation audit, then forensic audit, third party audit. So for example, if we discuss about the financial audit, they examine the financial statement of the company like P&L, profit and loss. They also known as the income statement. Then there is a IS audit for which we are studying, and we can define the IS audit as it is a systematic assessment or examination of information system, infrastructure, policy, procedure, then regulatory compliance, so that we detect the vulnerability, threat and enhance overall security posture of the company. So it aims to safeguard the confidentiality, integrity, availability of the information asset that we have previously discussed. Okay, the next thing is risk based audit planning. So the risk based audit planning is like I have taken one screenshot from the ISACA's review manual itself. They have given this phase. So the risk based audit planning is we need to gather the information initially so that we can understand what is the business, what is the purpose of business, what are the regulatory requirements they are following. We also check in this phase, we also gather the previous audit report. In this case, we try to understand what is the company is actually working so that we can work properly on that company. It is really important to understand what is the business. Then the next step is obtain understanding of internal controls. So internal controls means what are the controls they are working on, so that we do the risk assessment. Then we perform the compliance testing. Compliance testing means we check are the internal controls are working properly or not, are there any loopholes, what are the area where controls are not applied. So we do the risk assessment also here. And then we perform the substantial testing. It is like number testing. Actually it is for the numbers. We if we counting the inventories, then we can say it is the substantive test. Okay, then we conclude the audit. Then we draft the audit, we take the recommendation, then we write it on the final audit report and submit it to the management. So this is called a risk based audit. So we try to cover the risk, thus it is called as a risk based audit approach. Okay, also audit is divided into 3 phases. First is planning, field work and reporting. In the planning phase, we try to determine audit subject, what is the audit subject, what are the audit objectives, scope. Then we perform the pre-audit planning. Here objective can be number of procedure, number of process, number of department, but the scope is limited. It should be, if suppose in the object there are 4 departments like HR, finance, legal and marketing, but in the scope it should be only HR or only finance department, so that it should be specific, so that we can work accordingly on the given area only. In the fieldwork and documentation phase, we try to acquire the data, we do the control testing, and then we find out the where controls are working properly or not. If not, then we add them as a finding observation and we document that result. Then we prepare the audit report, that is the reporting phase. So whatever the information observation we find, write down them in the report. We draft that report, we communicate that finding to the auditee so that there should not be any misunderstanding regarding the observation. And once everything is done, we issue the report. And actually there should be the follow-up needs to be taken. Whatever the observation we have find out, that should be follow-up, that should be validated. Coming back to the syllabus, here we can see we are done with the risk-based audit planning. Then next topic is types of control and consideration. There are total 4 types of control, like preventive, detective, corrective, and deterrent. So preventive control, they try to prevent the threat event. Okay, for example, firewall. We can install the firewall so that no one unauthorized person cannot gain access to the network. Also there can be the physical barrier. For example, security guard. They can allow the person to enter the premises of the company only after checking their access card. Okay, these are the preventive control. Then detective control. These controls detect the threat once the threat occurred. For example, there are the various checkpoints, log monitoring. Okay, so they try to detect the control. If anything wrong happens, so we need to detect that. That's why we do the log monitoring and checkpoints and review and everything. Then there is a corrective. The corrective control, they try to minimize the impact. Once any threat impacted the organization, then there should be the corrective action plan that is done by the corrective control. Okay, so here we come under like disaster recovery, then business continuity planning, backup procedure, that all comes under here. And then the last one is a deterrent. Deterrent is they are act like the warning signals to deter the threat. For example, if there is a CCTV camera, so in that case, if anybody want to enter the premises of the company, they can see that CCTV camera. They have the choice to enter it or not. They can take risk and enter the premises of the company. So they act as a deterrence, but they cannot prevent the person from entering the premise. That is the difference between the deterrence and the preventive control. Preventive control, they prevent person to enter, and but deterrence, they only want them not to enter. That is the difference. Also there is one compensation control. It is act like alternative controls that ensure weakness in system not exploited. This example we can say the CCTV camera. Along with this, if there is a security guard, so they act as a compensation. Okay. Also, while auditing everything, we need to understand what is the risk. Is the product of vulnerability and threat. So what is the vulnerability? Vulnerability is the weakness in the system. Threat can be anything like hackers, there can be the malware, there can be the disaster. So it depends. So, and here A is the actual value that is been compromised. We can say it is a asset value. So in short, we can define the risk as a probability that threat actually exploit the vulnerability. There are different type of risk like inherent risk, residual risk, then audit risk. All these type of risk comes under the CISA syllabus. Okay, now coming toward the part B, that is the execution. So here I already mentioned you what is the execution. So in the execution, it is regarding the fieldwork and documentation phase, where we acquire the data, we test the controls, are the controls working properly or not. Then if we find anything, we mention that in the document as an observation. So that comes under the execution. So in the execution, you can see audit project management, audit testing, control testing, then sampling. Here sampling means selection of data from the population. So we can see, suppose we have 100 unit of data and we need to choose the samples, then we can take only 30. So this is the population and this is the sample we have taken from 100. Then the next question that came into our mind is that how to select this sample. So there are different techniques for the sampling, like statistical sampling, non-statistical sampling, attribution sampling, variable sampling. For example, statistical sampling means how they select the sample from the population. It depends upon me. Suppose in a month 100 employees join the company. This is week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. Okay, in week 1 consider 25 employees join the company, in week 2 25, week 3 25, week 4 25. So while choosing the sample, this is purely based on my judgment. In the non-statistical sampling, how to choose that? So I will take 5 sample from here, 5 from here, 5 from here, 5 from here. So I have selected 20 samples. Someone can select 20 from this week also. So it is as per their judgment only. Then there is a audit collection technique. There are various techniques used to collect the audit evidence, like we can interview the person, we can observe the process, then we can reperform the process by ourselves. Also there are the policies, process, we can go through it. There are various documents, we can see the organization structure, we can do the walkthrough. So there are various techniques that can be used to collect the evidence so that we get the actual data. Okay, then we need to do the data analysis. This is mostly done by the various applications that are being used by the companies. So there are various techniques of data analysis. For example, there are general audit software, then debugging tools that used by the company to do the data audit. As I communicated, we need to report the audit report to the senior manager, to the board of director, regulatory authority. So here what techniques can be used are mentioned here. And the last part is the quality assurance. It gives the confidence, assurance to the auditee that the everything is done as per their requirement. And there are various techniques so that we can improve the audit process. That's all about the domain 1, that is information system auditing process. Now let's discuss about the domain 2. Domain 2, it is about the governance and the management of IT. So what is governance? To give the direction to attain the business goal. They also monitor the performance and compliance to the relevant standard. Then what management do? The management do implement the policies to achieve the goals and direction set by the governance. Okay, so the governance, they provide direction to the management, and management are the main operational body here. Okay, let's see what this unit contains. So it start with the laws, regulation and industry standard. As I told you, there are various standard, laws, regulation that needs to be complied, like SOX act. Every public company working in the USA needs to comply with this act. Then there is a ISO 27001 that is also needs to be complied by various organizations, like European Union, they have their GDPR. Also India also forming the own DPD act for the data protection. Okay, so there are various laws, regulation and industry standard that are discussed here. Not any particular standard study here. They have only provide the definition and what they need to do with this standard. Okay, then there is organization structure, IT governance and IT strategy. Organization structure means they have mentioned various committee like strategy, then board of director, then steering committee. Here we can say strategic committee advise the board, they identify the risk and roadmap. On that basis, board of director, they take decision and they instruct the steering committee to take action. This is the main implementation body in any company. Then we have IT governance and IT strategy. Then we have IT policy, standard and procedure. So there is a basic difference between the policy, procedure and all. We can say the policy, then procedure and guidelines. Policy is the set of ideas. They tell us about why do I need to do this. This is like the governance tools. Okay, so this is the statement. Policy are the statement of direction by the management. Okay, then the procedure is operational tool. This is detailed steps and action to follow the policy, and the guidelines are required to implement the procedure. So policy give the direction, and with the help of procedure we try to implement the policy, and the guideline provide the best suggestion example to implement the procedure. Okay, this is how they work. And there can be various types of policy, like data classification policy, where data can be classified as confidential. Then some data can be internal. Then acceptable user policy, access control policy, it define who get what access. It should be the role based, rule based. That all thing will be covered in the syllabus. The next topic is enterprises architecture, then enterprises risk management. So here in the enterprise architecture we can see the structure and operation of the organization, so that we get the more understanding while doing the audit of the organization. In the enterprise risk management we can see what are the practice methods adopted by the organization to manage and monitor the risk. So basically what happen in the risk management, we try to identify the assets that are critical to the organization. So we identify the threats and vulnerability, we do the impact analysis. After that we calculate the risk. So we do the risk assessment, we try to find out the risk response plan, how to manage the risk, how to mitigate the risk. That all is given in the risk management. Then there is a data privacy program, how to safeguard the data is mentioned here, how to classify the data is mentioned in this part only. Okay, then we come to the part B, that is the IT management. Here in the IT management, IT resource management is the first topic. Resource come for the IT, that is human resource, onboarding, offboarding, maintaining, then training, that all done by the HR team. Here risk awareness training, security awareness training is given during this the human resource management. Then next is the IT management. IT management means it how the system is working, performance management, the design, delivery, everything is come under. Last one is the finance management. Finance means it is all the costs related to the IT. So IT resource management covers three things, that is human management, IT management and finance management. Then there is a IT vendor management. As I already told you, nowadays lots of information are stored on the cloud. So this is the cloud. Cloud is the remote server where we can store the data. We can analyze data on the cloud itself. So any company, they can store their data on the cloud. So mostly the cloud management is a third party. For example, AWS, then Google and other company. So there should be the agreement between these two companies that company's data should be protected. So how that is considered is given the IT vendor management. So there should be the right to audit clause, there should be the IPR clause in their agreement, there should be the SLA. We should check the SOC report of the cloud management, that is the third party. So in the IPR, this is the intellectual property right agreement. So the whatever the data XYZ is providing, that is belong to them only. The cloud management third party should not take the advantage of that data. Okay, they cannot sell it to the third party. How to manage that vendor is given in the IT vendor management. Okay, in the IT performance monitoring, we identify the critical process, are they providing the expected result or not. So we monitor the performance. There are various techniques like Six Sigma, Lean Six Sigma, then KPI, benchmarking. So there are various techniques given here to measure the performance of the IT. Then quality assurance and quality management. As we have previously seen in the part 1, there is a quality assurance parts coming here also. So the quality assurance means it is providing the confidence assurance to the auditor that we are working as per their requirement. Then that's all given in the chapter 2, the governance and the management of IT. The next one is the chapter 3, that is information systems acquisition, development and implementation. In this chapter they discuss how the company acquire new information system, acquire new application. Either they acquire new application or they design that by themselves. Okay, if they acquire, then what are the procedure that needs to follow, then how to implement that system. If they try to design, then how to develop that, how do they perform testing, and then what are the implementation in the production environment. So everything is discussed here. This part is further divided into two. In the first part, information system acquisition and development, they talk about the acquisition and development, and the second part they talk about the implementation. So they start with the project governance and management. We have already discussed the difference between the governance and management. Governance, they provide the direction to attain the business goal, and the management implement the policy and procedure to achieve the goals set by the governing body. Okay, so there are some topics you can see. The same topic is coming in the multiple chapter. Okay, like we have previously seen that the quality assurance, it is given here also, and in the chapter 2 the quality assurance given. Also they talk about the risk assessment here in the chapter 2. Also we can see the risk assessment comes here also, risk based audit, here also the risk assessment comes. And again we can see the governance and management, there is a whole chapter on this, chapter 2. And again they have the project wise, they have given here governance and management. This is the small area, it should be limited to the project. Okay, so next discuss about the business cases and feasibility study. Business cases means before starting any process, before acquisition of any asset or any application, there should be the business case and feasibility analysis is done. So the business case means it is like why we need the new project, it is the justification for the new project. Okay, and feasibility study means it tell us should we go ahead with the new project or not. It is done on the various factor like risk assessment, then there is the cost benefit analysis. So every study is done, then only they decide to go ahead with the particular project or not. Once they decide, then there are various development methodology like rapid application development, agile, like quickly, agile means quickly, how to develop the system quickly, then prototype, software engineering, reverse engineering, that are discussed here in the system development methodology. Also there are system development life cycle. So as I told you, first they do the business case and feasibility study, they then do the impact analysis, then once everything is done they check the requirement, and then they start developing or design the system. Okay, so there are two options with the company. If they want new application, then they have two options. One is they can purchase it or they can design it by themselves. Okay, so when they purchase it, they need the selection. So once selected the system application, then acquisition we can say, then after acquisition they need to reconfigure it with the existing system. Okay, and then there is the testing and implementation. Okay, suppose they try to design the system by themselves, then they need to develop that system, and remaining phase is same like the configuration, testing and implementation. Okay, in the project evaluation there are various techniques. They check the status of the project regarding the spending, regarding the time. So there are CPM, PERT, Gantt chart, EVA like techniques. So we can talk about the CPM here. So suppose CPM is the critical path method. Suppose there are three paths, we can say A, B, C. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Suppose it is taking 2 hours to complete, it is taking 8 hours to complete, and it is taking 5 hours to complete. So in the critical path we need to select the critical path. It is the actually the longest path. Here the B is the longest path, so we can see the B is the critical path. So if we work on this path, then we can shut down the project timeline. So if we short down this path, so at the end what will happen, even if it is completed in the 2 hour, it is completed in the 5 hour, but it is taking actually the 8 hours to complete that particular system. So if we work on this path only and we reduce it by 3 hours, minus 3 hours, then it is taking 5 hours to complete it. So now the whole project can be completed in 5 hours. So this is called the critical path method. So likewise there are other methods also. Next is control identification and design. In the control identification there are various techniques like check digit, parity bit, redundancy, forward error check. So we can say the check digit. So in the check digit, what happen, suppose you have any bank account number 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. In the check digit they check it is recorded correctly or not. Suppose there can be the any mistake. Suppose instead of 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, anyone written is 1 2 3 4 5 7 6. So there is a transposition error, and that is we find in the check digit. That is how we check the digit account number, and this is kind of the control here. So this is the control identification. There are other controls like forward error check, and so we can check the duplicate, the sequence check. It should be 1 2 3 4 5 only, not 1 5 6 2 3. Okay, so there should not be the duplicate numbers. It is 1 2 3, then it should be 1 2 3 only. It should not be 1 1 2. Okay, so with that everything we check that in the control identification and design. Next part is information system implementation. Once the system developed, then there is the third phase, that is known as the test. What happens generally, there are three environments. First is production, second, or we can say development, then is the testing, and third one is the implementation. Okay, so there should be the SOD, segregation of duty, between all these three departments. Because what happen, if any person developing the system and the same person testing the system, then he can add any bug here in this system, and at same time he can, while doing the testing, that bug should be identified and removed. But the same person working in the development and the testing, he will not remove the bug, or that thing will get implemented in the final production environment. So it will create bug in the whole system. That is why the segregation of duty should be maintained in the all three stage. Okay, coming back to the syllabus, here system readiness and implementation testing. There are various testing done before the system actually goes live. So there can be the unit testing, integrated testing, then system testing. So unit test means we need to test each unit. Once they combine with each other, then do the integration testing. Then there is the system testing. There are various testing come under the system testing, like load testing, stress testing, performance testing, security testing. Suppose there is an offer going on the Amazon. Okay, so what happens generally during the offer period, if offer is going and other season, during the offer the number of customer visiting the Amazon will increase rapidly. Okay, and during the other season moderate people are visiting the site. So what happen in this case, during the offer season, the load on this Amazon website, Amazon app will increase. Okay, so at this point they should maintain their service, and there is the load testing, there is the stress testing, also there is a volume testing. So that kind of testing is done to check if application is working properly or not. It should be work efficiently as it work during the other season. Okay, once the testing is done, then there is the configuration and release management. Release management means once everything is done, testing, and then should be the implementation. There should be configuration, and new system start working in the production environment. Okay, so here how to migrate that system, how there is deployment and data conversion, all the methods given here. in this section. Okay, and last one is the post implementation review. So in the post implementation review, suppose any system that we release in the production, in the post implementation review we check how it is working. We check how the new system is working with the other system in that are already there in the production environment. So that's all about the chapter 3, that is information system acquisition, development and implementation. The next one is chapter 4, information system operation and business resilience. So here they divide this chapter into two parts, operation and business resilience. So operation means how this information system actually work, how actually they operate. And in the business resilience part they talk about if any disaster occurred, how then we manage the business, how we continue the business. That's why this is the business continuity is mentioned. Okay, let's see what is information system operation. Okay, here talk about the IT components. It can be hardware, software, database, operating system, server, so everything, all the components they mention here. Then IT asset management. Asset means people, process and technology. It contains data, information, infrastructure, network device, endpoint devices, so everything that is belong to the IT, these are the IT asset, and their management comes under this. Job scheduling and production process automation. Job scheduling means it is a program that used to run the various process automatically, like we have automatic backup, we have automatic update, so this is called a job scheduling. Then system interference, how two system interface with each other. Then end user computing and shadow IT. End user computing means it is a system where non-programmer can create own application. There are now various AI modules come that you need to give them the command that I need this kind of application and they can generate it. This is called a user end computing, where non-programmer can create own application. It is the quick way to build and deploy the application without relying on the IT department. Okay, the next is system availability and capacity management. So as I told you, system should be available all the time. It can be anytime 24/7. So as per our requirement it should be available, and there should be the capacity management. Suppose we are storing the data in any database and it has a capacity of 100 GB. So this capacity should be maintained. So here there should be the process, there should be the person who is responsible for this. There should be the alert mechanism when it is 80%, so that adequate action can be taken. So everything comes under the capacity utilization. Incident can be any incident. It can be cyber security incident, it can be any hacker trying to hack the system. This is known as the incident. But if any incident occurring number of time, then it becomes the problem and that need permanent solution. Okay, so there should be the process. In practical guideline we can say, first we need to identify the incident. So any incident happens, suppose we can talk about the phishing attack. Suppose any person got an email of the phishing attack. The first thing that is required, he should identify that it is the phishing. Okay, it is coming from unauthorized sources. So how they can do, suppose any company mail ID, the domain name should be xyz.com. Suppose you are getting mail from xyz and there is a dot on z.com, so we can the user should understand that this is the phishing attack, because due to this dot they can use anything, like they can do capital X small y z. So in this way you can identify the phishing attack. So the identification, this is the first stage. Then it should be reported. So there are various techniques to report. It can be email, then it can be the contact number, or you can directly report it to the IT department. So once it is reported, as per the criticality it should be prioritized. Once it is prioritized, then action should be taken. So there should be the corrective action and preventive action plan should be there. There should be the root cause analysis should be done, so that we can identify what is the actual cause of this attack, and then it should be reported to the higher authority or regulatory authority. So this is as per the compliance requirement. Okay, so the main step is identification. Suppose there are number of incidents, it is increasing, then it become the problem. So this is the problem and incident management. Then IT change configuration and patch management. Change management means we are updating any system, then it is the change for the organization and that should be managed. There should be the impact analysis, there should be the testing, how the new version is working, so there should not be the any glitches in the existing system. Okay, then there should be the configuration management, there should be the patch management. Patch means the code that is getting changed. Okay, so it should be tested before implementing in the system. Also the log management means trail. Suppose I am working on this field, then the log get generated. Okay, what happen, suppose anybody want to collect the evidence that my ID will be there, that this person has worked on that system, so this is the log, it is the trail, it provides the history who work on what system. Okay, then there should be the IT service level management. During the IT vendor management, we already discussed that there should be the agreement, service level agreement between the company and the third party. So how IT service level management is done is provided here. There should be the right to audit clause, indemnity clause, then IPR clause that we already discussed. Then database management, we all know we store the data in the database and that should be protected so that the information should not be linked. Okay, then comes the business resilience. Business resilience means how we prevent or recover if any threat impacted the company. Okay, suppose there is an attack, there is an incident happen, then our work should not get compromised, we should recover as early as we can so that our business should not be impacted by such kind of attack. Okay, so when any attack happens, we need to do the business impact analysis. We try to understand what are the impact. It can be financial, it can be legal, how it costs to the company. Okay, so we do business impact analysis. We check the system and operation resiliency. Resilience means is the ability to withstand the disaster and to recover within the time frame. Okay, so any disaster occur, then our system should be resilient enough to withstand that disaster. Okay, and it should be recovered within the time frame. It should not take longer time so that we can start our business as soon as possible. Okay, then there is a data backup, storage and restoration. There should be the backup of each data so that any disaster occurred and it affected the primary side, then our backup should be available on the secondary side. So we can say that primary side is in Mumbai and then the secondary side should be in the Bangalore. Okay, this is the primary, this is the secondary. Suppose any disaster, earthquake or anything, there should be the backup data in another place so that we can start our business with the help of this data. Okay, also there are various data backup types like full backup, differentiate backup, incremental backup. Okay, then business continuity plan. Once the disaster happen, how to continue our business, that is given here in the business continuity plan. Here we define the RTO, RPO. It is a recoverable time objective and RPO is recoverable point objective. So that is, it means a acceptable system downtime. If there is an attack on any shopping site, then there should be the acceptable time, that is 1 hour. This site should start working again within an 1 hour so that there should not be the loss of the customer. If it is more than 1 hour, then customer start using another site and then that is the loss for this particular site. Okay, and the RTO means this is related to the data, where we can say it is a acceptable data loss. Suppose we have 1 TB of data and then RPO is 2 hours. Okay, so we can say if data loss for 2 hours, then it is acceptable. Behind the 2 hours, then it is not acceptable. So there should be the alternate mechanism in place, and that is known as the alternate recovery site. There are various alternate recovery site, that is mirror site, hot site, then warm, cold. So in the mirror site, this is the exact replica of the primary site. That is, in the previous example we see that the primary site is in Mumbai, so it is actually exact replica. In the hot, warm and cold, there are few components not there, so that is they are classified accordingly. Okay, and there should be the disaster recovery plan so that we can restore the normal business operation and recover from the disaster as soon as possible. Okay, so that's about the chapter 4. Next one is the chapter 5, protection of information asset. Here they talk about what are the asset security controls are there, and what are the security event management. As we already talked about the information asset, it can be anything: hardware, software, then process, people, data, infrastructure, anything. So here they talk about the information asset security policies, framework and standard and guideline. This part already covered in the unit 1 2. So they talk about the physical and environmental control. For example, in the physical and environmental control, we can say power failure is the example for this. Suppose there is the power failure, then there should be the generator set, there should be the backup for the power. Okay, so we cannot stop working. Okay, also there should be the fire suppressor, water and smoke detector should be there in the building so that we should from the fires. These are the physical and environmental controls. Okay, so next is the identity and access management. So there should be the rules who can access what system. Suppose any person working in the account field, okay, then he should have the access to the account related software. Okay, the if anyone working in the HR, they should not have this access. Okay, then that is the access management. Okay, there it can be Mac, it can be DAC. So Mac is a mandatory access control, that is access is given as per the policy. Okay, and the DAC is the discretionary access control, and it is given by the data owner as per the requirement. Also there are other type of access management like role base. This is the example of role base. Okay, so this is about the identity and access management. Next one is the network and endpoint device. Network devices are like firewall, IDS, IPS that work on the network, and endpoint devices are like printer that give us access to connect with the network. So network device, like there can be the router, there can be the bridges, switch. Okay, these are the example of network devices. Then data loss prevention, data encryption, it talk about how we can prevent the data loss. Then next is a public key infra. It is a cryptography. There are two keys like public and private. So with the combination of these two, we can achieve confidentiality, integrity and availability of data. Then next is cloud and virtual environment. The cloud we have already discussed. Cloud is the remote server where we can store the data, access the data, modify data. So it is accessible through the internet and there is no maintenance or management of actual resources. Okay, so they talk about the various types of clouds like private clouds, public cloud, community, then hybrid cloud, and this is the easy portion that it is not that much hard. Then there is the virtualization means you can run multiple operating systems simultaneously on a single computer. Okay, that is the virtualization. We use the virtual system so that we can connect with the client from anywhere in the world, like from the US, UK. Okay, so then there is a mobile wireless and internet of thing. Company provide you the mobile to work on. How can secure the mobile comes under it. Then there is the wireless and internet of thing device. Internet of things means this is the device that the embedded network is there and they work without the human interference. So how they can breach the data, they can leak the data. Okay, so all thing comes under this part. For example, for the mobile security, so there are some restriction that it should be used only for business purpose. It should be informed to the management if any device is stolen. So that all come under here mobile management. Then security event management. So the first thing is security awareness training and program. In the previous incident management, where I mentioned you that if there is an phishing attack, the first thing that is required here is to identify that the attack is happen. So for this identification there should be the security awareness training. So that talk about security awareness training, there should be the frequently monthly, half yearly, yearly training should be given to the employee, how to identify the attacks, how to report that attacks. Okay, then information security attack methods and technology, they talk about the various attack methods and technology that is being used. For example, botnet, then denial of service attack, DOS, double DOS. Then regarding the email, it can be email bombing, spamming, spoofing, phishing. Then malicious codes like Trojan horse, logic bomb, trapdoor, man in the middle attack. So there are various kinds of attack and techniques that is discussed here. Next is security testing tools and techniques. Here they talk about the various controls like login ID and password. Here you can see for password there should be the two-factor authentication. Sometimes it can be the biometric. Suppose you are working on laptop or computer, then go to the command prompt. Here I can show you how the password management is done. You are working on computer, go to the command prompt and type net accounts. You can see here net accounts. Once you type net accounts, click enter, then you will get the password parameter. So here you can see there are various parameters like password age, minimum age, maximum age, password length, then threshold, lockout duration, everything is mentioned. So it should be maintained, it should be there in every organization to maintain the password, and that should be tracked regularly. Okay, so this type of controls comes under security testing tools and technique. Then security monitoring logs, tools and technique. Again we have already talked about the logs. So log is act as a history. These are the trails that provide you the history who work on what application. So how to monitor that log and what are the tools and technique used, they talk about this. Then security incident response plan. So once the incidents happen, we need to identify that, we need to report that. How to respond the security incident is mentioned here, how to manage that thing. And then the last one is the evidence collection. They talk about how to collect the evidence, how to preserve the evidence, how to report them. So here they tell how to preserve the evidence, like you should preserve the evidence, such as we need to maintain the original evidence. If you want to work on any evidence, then it should be on the copy of the original evidence. So then it should be presented to the various authority in the original format. So this is about the evidence collection and forensic. See, in the security testing and tools, we talk about the firewall, IDS, IPS, antivirus. So there are various control techniques that you use. And that's all about the syllabus we have completed, each domain. Suppose you have any question regarding anything, you can comment here or ping me on the Telegram also. That's all about the syllabus discussion. The next is study strategy and the courses. So first thing we need to understand is CISA examination is the conceptual. It is totally based on the concept. Okay, so first we need to go through the ISACA review manual, the latest edition, that is the 28th edition. While going through this manual, you need to understand each and every concept, because the exam is the conceptual. Then try to solve the domain wise MCQs that are available on the various platforms like Telegram, Udemy or YouTube. Okay, so try to solve the domain wise MCQs. Revise until you get hold on this concept. So you need to take lots of revision, you need to make your own notes so that you can revise them lots of time and get hold on the concept. Okay, so once you done this thing, then you need to start with ISACA's question and answer edition. The latest edition is the 12th edition. So here what you can do, you can go through the questions. So I will suggest do the unit wise. There are total 5 domains in the CISA. So what you can do, you study this from the CISA manual, then solve the MCQ and do the same thing for all 5 domain. Okay, once you done with this, then go for the ISACA question and answer booklet, and then you solve all the questions here. So you will get the idea how the ISACA asking the question in the real exam. So but keep one thing in mind, that question will not be repeated in the examination. Okay, then you need to solve around 4000 5000 question to get hold on the concept. So practice as much you can. Then also I will recommend you to make your own short notes so that you can revise that on daily periodically basis. Okay, here revision is the key. So do revision number of time, and at the final when you are confident, then start giving the mock test. You need to go for at least 5 to 7 mock tests. You can do it by yourself also. There are various courses available in the market. The difference is that you need, if you are preparing by yourself, then you need to purchase various materials, you need to do the self study, and it can be the time consuming because you need to visit multiple sites to get the MCQ and all. And if you are going for the classes, then they provide you all type of materials at one place, and there are concept clearance guidance, then practical examples. So depending your time and depending your knowledge and experience, you can choose anything. So I will recommend at any case start preparing your own notes, and it should be the short enough. You can contact me on this number 9096433563, or you can ping me on the Telegram channel. This is my WhatsApp number.